Hello guys, so today we're going to try to build Minecraft in virtual reality, and I'll be using A-Frame, which is a framework for building virtual reality experiences on the web, and I'll be using my Oculus Quest 2 as my VR controller. So let's get started. I've been learning about A-Frame for the past week, so let's start working on this. Also, just a quick disclaimer, I've been using the word I a lot in this video. It's just a force of habit. I in fact mean us, me and Grace. She has done just as much as I have in this project. So yeah. So this is what I have so far. As you can see, you have the two arms, rectangular arms like Minecraft, and you can grab the object by clicking on the grab button on the Oculus controller. And then you can also place objects, place those blocks, and it will align to the grid perfectly. Yeah, so this is working, and definitely not trying to draw a penis right here, but so this is what I have so far. However, in the next day, I realized that this method is not feasible. I cannot just draw every single block as a separate block. As you can see in this picture, if you draw every single block like this, it will show all the faces, but what we really want is just the outside contour of the whole chunks of blocks. Right now I only have several blocks on the scene, and that's fine, but if I want to generate the whole Minecraft world, I'll have to be able to make it a lot more performant. So that's when I stumbled across this article, which I read extensively for the next day, trying to understand what it means, and then adopt it in my code, and this is what I got. So I'm using a Perlin noise library to generate the heights of the blocks. And ignore the zombie, zombie's just chilling there. And yeah, it looks pretty good. I also used the texture Alice provided in that tutorial, in the article. And yeah, mainly just for copyright reasons. I was going to keep this Minecraft block, but I don't want Mojang to sue me, so yeah. And also I have to basically reach into the 3JS components to control the texture on the blocks, because otherwise it'll try to do linear interpolation on it, and then it'll look all blurry, which is not what Minecraft is. But yeah, I also implemented controls so you can fly now, so that's cool. Oh yeah, I've also implemented a day and night transition with the sky gradient changing and also the light changing, but you can't exactly see it in this clip. And now we have trees. We have lanterns, we have trees, we have different terrain, we have different blocks. Everything's pretty cool. But most importantly, we have infinite terrain generation. If you look in the distance, every time you cross a certain distance, you can see more terrain generated in front of your eyes. And I also add a fog so it doesn't look too close or too obvious. And now, as you can see, I'm just showing the inside of the mesh. Again, because we're only showing the outside faces of this whole chunk, and yeah, so it's a lot more efficient. This tree is cut in half because it's in the middle of the boundary between two different chunks. I was too lazy to fix that. So let me explain real quick how I implemented infinite world generation. So each block is called a voxel, and every group of voxels, which is in this case 32 by 32 by 32, every big chunk of these voxels are called a chunk or a cell. And then right now, I think at this version, I am rendering 9 cells around you. So maybe this bird's eye view will be a better example. You can see as the player moves across the world, as the player basically goes through the boundary of the center chunk, then there are more chunks being loaded towards the direction that the player is moving, and the chunks behind the player is basically removed from the map. So this is for performance reasons. However, we do store the cell information, like every single voxel in the previous blocks are not erased. They're still stored. They're just not rendered at this moment to save graphical performance. But yeah, this is basically how it works. Next up, I wanted to add a physics system to this. So after struggling a lot with versioning issues, I finally got CannonJS to work with A-Frame 1.1.0, but look at this zombie. It's not working, because the only way that CannonJS can find the bounding box is by finding the biggest bounding box across the whole mesh. And because of how big my mesh is, the bounding box is way too big, and There are other ways of doing it, like doing a convex hull, but that would just be way too imperformant. And then also like there will be slopes between different levels of cells because a convex hull is a convex shape. So yeah, I realized that this didn't work, and I had to implement my own physics system, which I thought was daunting at first, but it's actually super simple to do. So basically what's happening here is that for every frame I'm checking the pixel below the camera, and if there's a voxel there, then that means I'm good, I'm on the ground, and if there's not, then I'll just slowly accelerate myself down towards the earth. And right now I'm actually switching to the flying mode, so I can switch in between modes as I wish. But yeah, and I also have auto jump implemented, which means that if I go right into a block, I'll basically spend the next 10 frames animating the jump upwards. And if I run into a block that has like 2 height, then I'll just try to move myself back to stop myself from going into it. But yeah, so now you can see I toggle back to the gravity mode. So the mode toggling is working at this point. And by the way, at this point, I decided to switch to a 5x5 grid of cells. So now I can see a lot farther into all directions as I walk around in the world. And this is what it looks like in bird's eye view. And also at this point, I realized that I'm still rendering the faces between the walls of 2 different cells, 2 different chunks. So I fixed it here, and as you can see, even the walls between the different chunks are gone. So it's just better performance. And here's just a view of this world. I'm recording this on my laptop. I'm using WSD to control the scene. And now it seems like a good time to implement the mining part of Minecraft. So this is my result. I'm basically detecting the position of the intersection of the ray that's shooting from my hand with the mesh, and then based on the velocity over time I can detect whether I'm mining, and how long I mine is dependent on the block's type. And yeah, water still looks pretty jank because I never got transparency work well. I think it's because of backface calling of the GPU. And just in case if you're wondering what happens if you mine all the way down, that's what happens. And I actually haven't implemented like the time of mining being different for different blocks. But yeah, now it takes a lot longer to mine a stone block with your hands. And to remove a block, all I'm doing is taking the position of intersection and the normal of the face that I'm intersecting with, and I basically back off the position that it definitely looks like I'm jerking off right now in real life, but I back off like the position by the normal of the face, and then that will basically place me inside the voxel. I'll look this voxel up in the world, delete it, and then update the mesh to show it. And I implemented add block in a very similar manner. You just have to intersect with the face and then click the trigger button, and then it will actually go forward from the position to the direction of the normal, and then that's going to be the empty block that you want to place the new block in. And then you basically add it in the cells, and then you update the cells mesh, and then to show the block, and that's it. And this is when I had an epic gamer moment and realized that I can place blocks right beneath my feet. Not too fast, because if I do it too fast, this happens, I get stuck in the blocks, but if I do it just right, I can build myself a tower and build myself up. And if I lean just forward enough, I can place blocks like horizontally, and this is just amazing. And this is when I was like, I don't like this ugly laser shooting out of my hand. I want to have a cursor just like Minecraft does, but I want it better in VR. So it will follow my hand's movement, it will crawl on the surface, adapt to the surface, show me exactly which face I'm highlighting. And this is what I went ahead and created. It took me way longer than I expected because it sounded it was going to be simple. But yeah, it's working now, so I can know exactly where I'm placing a block or where I'm erasing a block. And now we have textured arms. I cannot believe we haven't done this earlier, but this is amazing. It looks really amazing. And at this point, we also implemented inventory, so we can select different blocks, and yeah, we can place different blocks. You can toggle inventory using the button A on the controller, and we are also using the raycaster to select items. And here we also implemented a pickaxe, sorry. As you can see, it takes a long time to use bare hands to mine a stone. Obviously, everyone knows that. But if you use a pickaxe, it goes so much faster. Just bam, it's gone. We were going to implement bow and arrow and zombie, but we decided that it was too difficult, so this is what we have. This is the final product. We have our presentation in 2 hours. I have not slept for a whole day, so just gonna take a quick nap. Thank you for listening. I'll see y'all.